Last question on Iraq before we get into some general CCT stuff. I know you did a mission with the British SAS, which we're also going to talk about a little bit more later here. And when we were talking about it, you kind of also discussed how the media just completely botched what you guys had done, and it had essentially lied about the mission, which is not exactly shocking. Can you please tell us how you ended up attached to an SAS unit and how the media royally got the story wrong?
Yeah. So this was late in my career. And I was over there in a leader's capacity, not in an operator's capacity. I was actually running our joint personnel recovery center. And the general came out and he says, "Hey, Mike," actually calls me LA. LA is what most people know. He says, "LA, I need you to go down and work with the Brits." I'm like, "Well, what's that mean?" So he goes, "Well, I need you to go down and advise them because we're feeding them assets every night and they're not using them. And we don't know if they don't know how to use them, if it's a cultural thing, is it an active decision that they don't want to use them? And especially air assets they're a commodity. Like if somebody has them, that means somebody else doesn't have them." So it's okay. Well, all the way through the pipeline, when you're trained to go as if you're going to be doing the most difficult thing. Even though they were telling me to be an advisor, I was like, and remember, I just left the schoolhouse a handful of years prior. So I'm still in my mode of, okay, I can't just go down there thinking I'm an advisor. I got to go down prepared. So I spend the next couple hours programming my radios, getting an intel brief, plugging in all the pertinent information in my GPS to make sure that I'm capable of, at least surviving. I get off the helicopter and I'm walking to their ops center. I'd never met these guys, never met one of them. And the dude meets me at the door. He goes, "Hey, that's your seat." He points to Humvee. I said, "Well, I was told I'm coming down here to advise you guys." He goes, "No, we're going on a fucking mission in 4 hours. That's your seat." Roger that. So we walk in the building. I make sure I get up to speed on the mission we're going on, make sure everything I've loaded in my radios is copacetic. And then we roll out on this mission. And that night we end up, we're in what I think is one of the most difficult environments to be in. We're actually in the inner city. And everything is a danger area. Every window you walk by, every alley, everything in front of you, like all it takes is one gun to point out of one of those and you're shot. So, hyper alert, going on this mission. We do a vehicle drop off a couple clicks away, and then we walk to our target. We go and hit the target, and everything's going well. One dude squirts out the roof and he's hopping from roof to roof because in Iraq in the summer, a lot of them sleep on the roof because it's cooler. Which means they can navigate the roofs almost like they can navigate alleyways. And the Brits, they're trying to track them. So I call up, we have an F-15 above us, and I go, "Hey, man, we got a squirter. Here's who's going." And the F-15 quickly gets beat on him, and he's feeding me information that I'm now feeding the Brits. And then eventually they track the dude down and capture him. So it was a success in the sense that, I got there, we did a mission. On that mission, we have a squirter. We're able to use air assets to orient us to where he is. And then we capture the dude and take him back to wherever we took him to. And I spent the next 10 days with him, and I did 10 days of missions with them. And while we're doing this, I'm calling back higher headquarters going, "Hey, I can keep doing this because it's a lot of fun, but you probably need to get a younger, more relevant guy out here." So eventually they sent me a younger guy from the States. I did a couple-day handover with him, trained him up, and then, put the right guy on the mission. While I did okay, the younger guys are more capable than I was, way more capable.
Now, I know that there was the mission, I believe a later day, maybe the fifth time you go out with these guys, the media was not very honest about what had happened. Can you explain how that situation unfolded?
Yeah, so we got notification we need to go after a bomb maker. This guy was creating bombs that were for use for IEDs that were killing Americans. So that was the mission that we were going for. We helicopter inserted. As soon as we hit the ground, we started receiving fire. These folks were prepared for an assault. It was a hardened target. So as the assaulters ran up, they were able to breach the outer wall, but they couldn't get to the building. They were receiving pretty heavy fire from inside the building. The ground force commander looked at me and said, "I want you to destroy that fucking building. I want everybody in it dead." So roger that. So I called up to a pair of F-16s above me, Viper 91 and 92, and I oriented the target, got them ready to come in. I told the ground force commander, I said, "You got to move your people away from there." He said, "Well, I really want bombs now." I said, "Yeah, but you're inside of our collateral damage assessment area. Like these guys will get injured if I drop bombs right now. So they started pulling everybody back. By the time we got everybody back, I had Viper 9192 on short final waiting for clearance. Right then, I had Hammer 71 sign on. Hammer 71 was a AC-130, which is a more surgical platform. So I gave the Viper flight abort, abort, abort. I could feel the anxiety in their voice, like they wanted to engage the target. So they were kind of pissed off, but I boarded them, sent them up to 10,000 feet, and asked them to hold there. And then talked the AC-130 on. And AC-130 did as advertised. Like they're so surgical and they're so good at what they do. They were destroying the building. Nothing around it was getting destroyed. We were getting secondary explosions from the bomb maker's workshop. And they killed everybody on target. We walked up and did an assessment to make sure everything, did what it was supposed to do. And then we flew home. When we got back, the general came out. He said, "Hey, Mike, I'm concerned. In the news, they're saying you guys had these people on their knees and you put bullets in the back of their heads." I said, "Well, that absolutely didn't happen." We had video of what we did from helicopters and from the aircraft. I said, "So we can validate what we did." And he took our word for it. General was pretty awesome guy. He believed his troops and listened to what people had to say. Plus, we had the video evidence. But your question speaks to the nature of warfare. And the fact is the media has a role. They're quick to publish stuff because they got to beat their competitors. A lot of times they publish inaccurate stuff and the enemy feeds on that. And I can't tell you the amount of guys I know who are in firefights that, if you believe the media, they attacked a wedding party and killed a bunch of people celebrating a wedding. And they were only shooting their weapons in the air because they were celebrating. But the fact is they weren't. These were ambushes that guys were in, and they were saving their own lives and their team's lives. So it's a dynamic in the battlefield that we absolutely have to play in every day.
Let me tell you a quick story to play off that I think will drive the point home and back up your version of the media. About 2 years ago, I interviewed 3 Delta operators that were part of the same unit. Like they're all in the unit at the same time. They're on the exact same tiny assault force. And they shot 4 people that were disguised as Afghan police officers in a vehicle who were on their way to go kill someone. And one of them was either the nephew or the cousin of like the regional leader of Afghanistan. And the media reported U.S. forces murder 4 Afghan police officers. They weren't cops. They were all bad guys. They were going to but it didn't matter. The truth was out there. Now their command, they said, backed them up. They knew they'd killed the right guys. But once that narrative gets out there, it's out there, right? And it's hard to reel that back in.
Well, we're seeing it play out in Israel right now, right? I mean, it's you go down to Gaza or the West Bank. The media reports what they receive as fast as they can, and they vet it as much as they may want to.
I agree, and it's really dangerous and shameful. But I agree 100%.